What's it like at Arcadia? Because I know that you do a lot of work with the high school and founded, from what I understand, a Native American club there, and you work in student government and all of that.
I'm the senior class president, so it's really awesome that I get to do a lot of things with my class itself. It's important that when I talk about community, I don't just mean like, obviously I have lots of communities. That means like my Navajo community, my Choctaw community, but also my school community. Like I love my classmates, especially senior year. We're finally all starting to like interact with each other, which is exciting. But I also I'm the president of our student section, so I get to go to all the sporting events and just be an active member in school. But the Native American club that I started, it happened before, but then I got debunked for a few years. And then so me and my sister, she graduated 2 years before me, but we never really had like a Native American outlet, I guess. And our school is literally on Indian School Road. And so we were a little confused why there was no like resources for us. They have like a great Native American support system at SUSD. And they helped me pay for like AP courses, and they really have become like super helpful in making sure I continue my education. But I really wanted to start at the Native American Club. So yesterday we actually made ribbon skirts. The person from ASU, their elder in residence is what they call them, came down and taught us how to make ribbon skirts, and we want to have them for like a Native American celebration. They're doing district-wide, which is really exciting.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
You don't see much ribbon skirts around these parts, as you
No,
know.
not really.
They're not a Southwest thing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. You're 17. You did all this incredible work. You know, the food security, sustainability element. I'm curious, you could talk a bit about some of that work that you do, and especially being here in an urban community,
Yeah.
like, you know, farming and that mindset isn't really practical always here in the Valley. So I'm curious to learn more, like, what inspires you to do that today.
At the start of the COVID pandemic, my grandparents, they live up on the Navajo reservation, and we were on the phone and they were talking about how they weren't able to get access to fresh produce because the Navajo reservation is larger than West Virginia, but the grocery stores, like they have like minimal grocery stores and they're actually food deserts. So it's interesting to see like across the country that a lot of the reservations actually lie atop of food deserts. And so my sister's always been very interested in like health. And so we were trying to like comparing the like numbers of diabetes and things like health issues within Native communities, pairing with their inability to get access to fresh produce. And so we kind of combined our heads and we started a garden outside of our house. And so it started with just like easy crops, which I guess gardening in Arizona isn't particularly easy to start with, but like lettuce, strawberries, which aren't easy. Actually, they all died and the birds ate all of the berries from it,
wow.
which is really sad. But we started planting those, and then we moved towards more like drought-friendly plants, which we also found drought-friendly plants also happen to be native crops. We planted like Hopi melons and then T.O. beans. And they actually did better because they're drought resilient and obviously like native people planting these in this space. And so we started focusing more on those. And then when you have a good crop, like if you open up like a melon, like they have like seeds inside the melons, you can actually save the seeds. And then I was able to ship them out. And so it's kind of like it's a little source I'm trying to do in order to help fix the food sovereignty and security issue. But in Arizona specifically, I was struggling, especially like in Arcadia area. I've been struggling to find like a Native American connection for a really long time, being so far from my reservations. And so it was just a way to like reconnect with the earth, which is obviously so important to Indigenous people, but also do something for my community back at home.
What part of home is for you, just out of curiosity? Because I've driven through a lot of there already.
It's like the Montezuma Creek, like over by Four Corners area.
Oh, wow.
So Blanding.
That's really far.
Yeah, so it is quite far from where I live. And then also like the Choctaw Reservation, which is Oklahoma, so that's even further.
That's right.
And so we sent some of my corn back to Oklahoma, which was really exciting because we saw like different community members, like just people my grandparents are from, like that I have no connection to, planting my crops. So it's really exciting to see that it's going further than just Southwest area.
That's really interesting. You talk about like this pan-Indigenous kind of movement, so to speak. You're crossing over from that one region and then to the other. And you live between those two worlds in that respect with your relatives and your kinship over there. So I'm curious, like, how do you balance that?
Yeah, not particularly. Whenever I introduce myself, I always introduce myself as being Choctaw, but I'm born for Kia'ani, which is one of the Navajo tribes. And so at first it was kind of difficult to understand. Like my dad was trying to teach me Navajo and my mom was trying to teach me all of these Choctaw teachings. But I think the beauty of kind of like, even in like powwows, like intertribal dance, I think it's kind of the beauty of being from multiple different communities is you get to see the connections. Like Choctaw and Navajo are both matrilineal. And it's interesting to see how that differs from like the like colonized world, I guess. But they're matrilineal and the stories from them and even some creation stories, it's interesting to see how they overlap, even how far and different they are. But it has been difficult trying to mitigate which world I come from. So I find myself in a lot of spaces that are very intertribal. Like I do a lot of work with Unity and then CNAY. They're both national networks for intertribal youth, and you get to see a lot of the connections because we're such a small group of people that really finding the small connection with each other and trying not to draw these boundaries is, I think, what's going to connect us all.
It's a challenge, and I started doing this work in the Haudenosaunee, so another matrilineal society. It's interesting because of the recognition from the White House Gender Policy Council, and I guess, that upbringing with your matrilineal roots and seeing clan mothers and strong women in leadership roles there. Do you see that reflect or translate into the work that you're doing today?
Yeah, definitely. My dad is the only man in the house beside my dog. So it's just my sister, my mom, and me. So I've really been surrounded by women my entire life. And even at the Aspen Institute, Nikki Santos is the executive director of CNAY.
That's right.
So I just keep seeing all of these amazing Native women leading change. And it really pushes me forward. Specifically at Center for Native American Youth, I've seen a lot of Native women who are the forefront of change. I'm in the Champions for Change group. I'm the only woman. It's odd coming from a world like this where it's so male-run, but it was one of the only times I was the only woman. It was wow, this is, I guess, reflective of the world, but it's not what I'm used to. I'm used to seeing my grandma telling my grandpa to go do this back at home and kind of her taking charge. But yeah, it definitely carries into a lot of the work I do, and I think that's why I'm so outspoken, is because I've been surrounded by so many women leaders in my life.
It's like a culture shock in that respect because that's how you're raised, right? That's your family. And then society is so different at times. And to that point, I want to ask, you've had a couple weeks since the Girls Leading Change event. That was the first ever program of the White House. Have you reflected much on that and what that was like for you to meet Dr. Jill Biden? And I guess, what does that mean to you to represent the Southwest in that respect, also as an Indigenous young woman, because you were the only Indigenous woman in that whole group of 15 young women who were honored with that distinction? So I was wondering if that's all settled in for you yet, a couple weeks in.
A little bit. When I first got back to school, my vice principal called me into the office, and I was a little concerned. I was what did I do? I don't think I did anything wrong. But it was just to congratulate me. And then a lot from my peers, you were at the White House, because it had to be a secret. So then I just posted on Instagram randomly, and they're what? And I'm I know, it's super exciting.
It had to be a secret, really.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to talk about it until they announced it. I was doing press with them, and my friends were what are you doing? I can't tell you, but it's exciting.
Stay tuned, right?
Yeah, the other girls that were selected were amazing. The work that they're doing, it was so inspiring. I feel a lot of times, specifically being Native, in the Southwest, it's amazing because there's so many Native groups out here. But it is difficult to continue work and then feeling you're doing enough, and then seeing just in their own small parts of the world, they're making such big impacts. And it keeps pushing me to do more work, and not just my Native community, but trying to outreach more into the greater community. But meeting Dr. Biden was amazing. The cutting garden that Michelle Obama planted with the flowers and all that stuff, we actually got to make bouquets with Dr. Biden. And so we have all these bouquets, and I was on the plane with one of the other girls, and our bouquets were it was really cute that we had them, and we were taking them through the security, and I have it hanging in my room now. So that's super exciting. And then I got selected also to speak. So it was really exciting to speak on behalf of Native people. I wore a ribbon skirt to the event, and so I was talking about what the ribbon skirt means. And it's just interesting, specifically being the only Native person, I feel I have a big responsibility to present Native America well. But also it's really exciting to be able to represent so many different cultures by just being one person.
I have to ask, it's all fascinating. Did you have a chance at all to have any one-on-one interaction with Dr. Jill Biden during that time? And if so, did she tell you anything of substance there?
We talked about what books we were reading.
Really? Books?
Yeah. So we were all walking to the cutting garden to the show. It wasn't just me one-on-one, but I was in front, standing next to her. And so we were talking about books. I remember one girl talked about The House in the Cerulean Sea. Dr. Biden said she was wanting to read that, which is really exciting. We talked about the animals, too, their dogs. I think his name was Commander.
Yeah, Commander. Yeah, that's right.
She was wearing sneakers, so we got to talk about her, sneaker shoes, because I thought they were cute.
And at a public event like that, you expect heels or something. I mean, what's next for you? I know that's a pretty high bar to set, but what's on the horizon for you? I know you're wrapping up school pretty soon in coming year. What are your goals? What do you hope to do next?
Yeah, I really want to finish high school, which I'm pretty sure.
I think you'll be fine, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to finish high school. Right now I'm in the midst of college application seasons, which is insane. So I really want to get into college. I got into ASU, crossed my fingers, I could go somewhere else. But I really want to go out of state, especially it's exciting. It's important that I have a group with a lot of Native people is when I'm searching for college. I'm looking for a big Native connection. But next is a big question. I think I really want to do like more hands-on research. I did a good job, I think, of like implementing it, but I want to do research and how can I have more facts? Because so much in like the world, I see that you have to have facts to back up what you're doing, especially talking about Native people. You have to have all of these statistics. And I just want to become more educated on what I'm speaking on and also just get smarter. Like, I'm just excited to learn.
In the food sector or across the board?
I think I want to go into sustainability when I study for college. So I want to do either environmental science, but I'm really interested in a lot of environmental justice tracks. So I really want to talk about like how we can combine environmental science along with like policy making in order to try to make it more of a forefront on the policies that we enact.
We'll certainly be watching you in your future here in the Valley and beyond and representing the Southwest and your communities, Navajo, Choctaw, and Greater Native America, as you said. Gabby, thank you for your time. It really was a pleasure and for coming into the studio with us.
Of course, it was so nice to meet you.